There's so much stress that people are enduring right now. I know those individuals who are people leaders, there's tremendous pressures because over 80% of the time, most of the day is spent taking all the difficulty on, dealing with all the challenges that are emerging. And one of the knee-jerk reactions is to move into self-preservation mode the more stress we get. So it's interesting, the more stressed our environments become, the more we move towards that self pushing away any responsibility, closing down our communication, moving into sort of talk tracks that just might be rehearsed and may not seem authentic. So I'm interested that from a training perspective, how can, like, what are some of the building blocks? How can we, what are some of the insights from training in authentic leadership that perhaps have impacted how you lead? Or have you heard from others in terms of how it can change how they support others in the midst of all these pressures that we're facing as leaders?
Yeah, I got to tell you, one of the workshop that I built for the research I did is pretty much the same workshop I still use with our middle management teams. And one of the really cool things that touches on what you were just talking about is a hands-on exercise we do around communication. And we just openly talk. I keep the groups small, they're about 10 people. And we talk about how your communication style changes when you're under pressure. And in our work in construction, there is a pressure is part of the job. There's always schedule pressure, changing dynamics, and all that. So they totally relate to that. But then we do, and different people have done different versions of this, but it's a very structured exercise where you build some blocks. You split people into teams, and one is the builder, one team's a builder. The other team on the other side, they can't see what's going on. They have to communicate to them how to build it exactly the same color, shape, and everything. So what I do in the background is I put extreme pressure on them. I'm saying, okay, I don't give them a lot of information, what they do with their field crews. You say, hey, we got to get this done, and you're going to have 3 minutes to do it. Use all the blocks, hurry up. And I'm walking around going, you got another minute. I'm really putting the pressure on. You can see them agitated and do this, do that, and they're freaking out. So then they never build the same thing. I take the screens away and they go, oh my gosh. Then we find out their communication style under pressure. And it's amazing how spot on it is. Like, I'm a doer. I jump in and do. I'm not very good at saying good morning to people when I come into my office, but it's something you can learn if you want to change that perception of yourself. So even under pressure, you need to learn it. And so we do this quiz. They find out who they are. That's really fun. More importantly, how do you communicate with someone else who's not your type? How do you, like you said, how are you communicating for them and not you? Because they found themselves barking orders, but did they ever look in the eyes of the person across from them and see if they were getting what they were saying? And the answer is usually no. And so a lot of people at the end of the workshop, to answer your other question, when I get to the end, I ask each participant, what was the main kernel you got out of this? They all take different things. There's always a few who take out the communication piece that they did not realize how that was probably giving the impression they didn't want to, as far as who they really were inside. Because we do a lot of inner self-reflective exercises throughout the workshop. It's only a half day, believe it or not, but we do some pretty big stuff. And we've had tears in that room with big burly construction workers because we tap into some very personal things that a lot of these folks have never, they didn't get to go to college to write essays and figure out how they feel about things. And so it's really therapeutic. I do pull in a lot of things from group therapy in the workshop as well.